Good morning, educators. My name is Caroline Herring, and today's professional development is enhancing instruction in social studies. So the overview of today's professional development, we're going to be focusing on the social studies content in the classrooms. So the social studies portion of state testing has become more difficult for students to reach achievement level. This could be because the subject is considered useless or boring to some students. Together, we are finding ways to make the content more engaging to students with best practices and differentiated instruction. So our objectives for today, we're going to review over different techniques and resources to use in the social studies classroom to integrate student learning. Collaborate in a group setting to promote student engagement with the resources discussed in the professional development. So today's discussion, we're going to be working together and we will discuss how to improve instruction in social studies across grade levels. We will look at online resources that are free to use and also effective. At the end of the presentation, we will collaborate and create an action plan to implement these resources into our classes. First, let's look at continuous school improvement. This initiative is the beginning of our school improvement plan. And the first step is for teachers to look at instructional processes and see what works. Instructional practices are the techniques and strategies that teachers use in the learning environment. After long thought, we as administrators, me and my team, have noticed that some of the instructional practices being used are not effective. So now let's step into best practices. The term has been described as what works in a particular situation or environment. And there are three clusters of best practice principles. We have student-centered, cognitive, and interactive. As a school, we are geared towards being more student-centered. When we relate to the content to the minds of students, it makes them more engaged and involved in learning, therefore leading to higher achievement levels on state testing. And next we're looking at differentiated instruction. So when planning lessons, we need to pay attention to incorporating differentiated instruction into those plans. One way is by having more authentic work than inauthentic work. In classrooms today, we find that we overemphasize and decontextualize drills and provide too few opportunities for students to experience real situations. For example, instead of fill in the blank worksheets, so like where you have our vocabulary sentences and the blank word is the vocabulary word. Let's have students conduct research using primary sources, which also helps benefit us because that's what the state test is structured like. Now we're going to look at some classroom initiatives that we can bring in as resources. So we have our resources labeled by grade level. For elementary, we have MobyMax, virtual field trips, iCivics, and BrainPop. Junior high, we had the Annenberg Classroom, Zoom In, and Learning for Justice is also in the junior high and high school level. So continuing with the high school level, we have Stanford History Education Group and Model Diplomacy. So here's the list of the 4 elementary resources that we have provided. We have MobyMax, virtual field trips, iCivics, and BrainPop. So we're going to be looking at these 4 first. So MobyMax, this is just an overview of everything. We're still working as a district to get the licensures for every school, especially our school. So we have like the differentiated learning tab, the assessments tab, interactive class tab, engagement tab. So like right now we're looking at the placement test that students can take to assess their beginning levels, then get the classroom buzzing, so like interacting with the students who can create their own MobyMax character and everything else. Now we are on the engagement tab where we have real life reviews from teachers. Next we have virtual field trips. So like right now we're looking at social studies and we're just going to click on a random one that we find. So let's click on, let's see, Jerusalem. And so this is a K through 5th grade level. And so then you're just going to click play, or there we go. We're going to click on play. And so then it just gives you an overview, and it's like you can play a full screen, and it's like you're in Jerusalem, and the kids will love it, I think. I mean, I love it, and I'm principal. Next, we have iCivic. So you can explore primary sources. We have some games you can play, and then some teach sections. So you can click on any type of content type. Let's do DBQ, and then we're just going to click on the first one we see, which is the Nashville sit-ins. And it gives you a lesson plan whenever it pulls up. There we go. It gives you kind of learning objectives and lesson plans. Whenever you log in, you'll be able to actually download everything. It shows you what content areas it kind of evolves in, the grade level, so high school and middle school, so everyone else can use it too, not just elementary. But I feel like it was more cartoonish, so elementary students would be able to enjoy that more than high school students. And our last one for elementary, we have Brain Pop. So right now we're under the Social Studies tab, and I like how it's broken up into units and topics. So we're going to click on the topics, and so topics is broken down by people, places, events, and so I just clicked on Alexander Hamilton. And so then you see like movie, quiz, challenge, make a map, make a movie, primary sources, everything. So this would be more kid related because it has a cool little robot. I think they would enjoy that. But I really couldn't explore more into this because I had to have a login. And like I said, we're still working to get the licensures and everything, which should be soon to get in. Okay, up next we have our junior high resources. So first we have the Annenberg Classroom, and then second we have Zoom In. So we're going to take a closer look into the Annenberg Classroom resource. So right now we're just kind of on the main page. We're scrolling down and we're going to keep showing you that, what it looks like. So we're going to click on Educate right here. And then it brings us to a bunch of different lesson plans. And I'm just going to click on that first one, a conversation of the Japanese internment cases. So it gives you standards and outcomes that students should achieve, materials, and preparing to teach. Breaks down the lesson for you, how much time. It also gives you extension activities, which I like. And then handouts, it's on handout 1. And then handout 2. And then like a teaching briefing. Then it gives you answers. We love whenever a source gives you answers where you really don't have to work through for extra work. So here I just click the download the lesson plan, and it's 5 pages long. Still pretty helpful. And it's basically the same information as what was on the main website, just broken down into lesson plan format. Next we have zoom in. So this is kind of what it looks like. I'm just going to click the, oh, I already had one open up. So here's the teacher guide for performance tech action, Great Depression task. There's this one that I can get to easy. It's 23 pages long. It's very, very detailed. Very good resource for the teacher and for the students. It's giving you primary sources for the students to go through, which again is very, very beneficial to them. And so right now I'm showing you where you can create your own classes. And then like you see how it has the assignment already there, the Bloody Massacre. And then what I really like about this is whenever you can like break down and see how many notes were taken in each of those documents, so by your students, and you can review the notes right there. So you don't have to worry about the hassle of collecting paper, notes, and everything from them. So I'm just continuing to go through and just kind of show you everything right here. But yes, given those primary sources like these were very good, because I know on the US History EOC, it's all about reading 1 to 5 sources and interpreting the best answer for those sources to a question. Moving right along to the high school resources or the high resources, we have 3. Stanford History Education Group, Model Diplomacy and Learning for Justice. So the Stanford History Education Group, I kind of fell in love with and noticed whenever I was in the general ed classroom teaching US history. These were incorporated into a lot of the scope and sequence from Louisiana Believes. So I'm just going to click on one right here. Lunchroom fight. We're going to view the lesson. So it just kind of gives you a background of what the lesson's about. We can download teacher materials, student materials, and I also love that you can download these in Spanish for your ELL learners. So I'm just kind of giving a quick overview of the teacher resources right here. And then our student resources, they're given some primary sources and they have to answer those questions. Very good DBQ, have to think and interpret those primary sources into their own words. Our second one is model diplomacy. So I think that this is going to be more towards your AP classes or like your world history classes. I felt like this is a cool little website though. It has like some case studies. And so like the 3 highlighted are like the pandemic and beyond, Afghanistan withdrawals, and US history series. So we're going to click on that last one. And then it gives you tons of them. And I'm just going to click right here on the Zimmerman telegram in 1917. Gives you an overview and the situation. And then we also have a decision point. I'm going to click on the classroom handouts and just, open those up, see what those look like. So we got 2 pages. It's basically what's on the website, but we have additional resources. And so the students really have to come together and debate and discuss what they feel about the Zimmerman telegram in 1917 gets them student engaged, student led, student geared, what we're headed towards. And our last resource for the high school, and like I said, we've also thought about this for middle school, is Learning for Justice. So I'm just scrolling through the main page right here, giving a big overview of it, and I'm going to scroll back up to get to the actual lessons. So we're going to click on lessons right here, and there's tons of them. So like law, local elections matter, the truth about history of voting rights, and so forth. just going to give you a little bit more into it before I click on one. So I'm going to click on this one right here, the true history of voting rights. So it gives you, like in this lesson, objectives, essential questions, materials, vocabulary that some students might not know, and then it gives you like the layout of how the lesson should work and flow, and then your standards and everything else perfectly, some related resources. So I'm just going to click on one of these handouts right here, materials. So like these are some voting right cards that a teacher would need to cut out and place on some desk maybe. Kind of like a timeline, if you would think. And timelines really help some students focus and learn what the material is. Thought that was a good one. Now that we have talked about the resources that we can incorporate into the classroom throughout the year, preparing for the end of the school state test. Now let's talk about how we can really get those students to practice and learn for the standardized test. So we have two sets. We have online and paper-based. So some online resources are IXL and Edulastic. And our paper-based, we have American Book Company booklets and Louisiana Believes. Louisiana Believes is an online base, but you could always print it off and kind of like make a booklet. That's what I have found works better for me and students also. So up first we have online testing practices, and we're going to start with the IXL website first. So here's IXL. Looks fun. It's comprehensive K through 12 curriculum. And we're just going to scroll down. So it breaks up everything pre-K through 12th, which is amazing. Even though pre-K, kindergarten, first and second really don't test, and 12th graders don't either. So I'm going to show, and we also have Spanish, which is pretty great. So we're going to click on 6th grade social studies, and it gives you a whole caboodle of everything. And we're going to click on early Mesopotamia. So I just read the question, gives you a map, and so Mesopotamia was the site of one of the earliest civilizations. Which letter marks that? And if you get it wrong, it gives you the correct answer and then how it is. So it shows me where ancient Mesopotamia is, and it gives me a brief little synopsis of why that is the answer. And so just click got it. Then it sends you into another one. And it's a multiple choice one. Got it right. Look at me go. And then it also gives you a brief synopsis on why it was right and so forth. And so I'm just going to click on 6th grade. And you have like on the side your other ones. So now we're going to go to 4th grade right here. We're just going to select another random one, I think. Let's see. Maybe not. No, we decided not to. Don't want to harp on it, but it's so much fun. It's set up using maps, primary sources. Another good way to prepare those students for the end of this year's state test. Our last online resource for standardized testing is Edulastic. So here's the main page for it. We have some practice tests on the right hand side. Kind of goes into what is LEAP and everything. So we're going to click on this one right here. Let it load some. Okay, perfect. So it gives you a map again, read and study the sources. That's how every question is going to be set up. Your sources are on the top. And so we're just going to click that and then go on to the next one. You can choose your questions up here. I decided to go to 6, and we can bookmark. We can use the Sketchpad. It's set up just like the LEAP test is, and it gets the students more familiar with how to work through online based testing especially whenever they really don't use technology in the classes, which we need to incorporate that more. So let's just scroll down here. Oh, look, here's a multiple select one. So again, this gets them to the type of questions that they will be seeing on the LEAP test. So for our paper-based test practice, some examples of the American Book Company resources and Louisiana Believes will be passed around the room. So just take it and pass it around the room. So in the American Book Company books, there's a pretest that you can give to your students. Then it has like sections of different topics and stuff and questions to answer after each one of those topics. And then at the end there is a post-test. So instead of using like state testing data for your SLTs, you can use the test data from your American Book Company, and the resources from Louisiana Believes. Those are set up just like the LEAP Test 2, just on paper. So at this time, we're going to stop and collaborate about the information that we just reviewed. Some key questions that we will need to focus on are: what types of programs do you think will benefit your students in your classroom? And are there any resources that you use in your classroom that works that we did not cover in this presentation? So I'm going to go ahead and put a timer on the clock for 10 minutes and let y'all get in groups and discuss. So I think after those 10 minutes of group discussion and everything, and then coming together for the last 5 minutes, really benefited our professional development meeting. I want to thank you all for coming. I have really enjoyed giving this presentation to you, and I hope to see you again in another professional development. So here's a list of my resources and links and everything for you to go and explore on your own. Thank you so much.